Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Mahr's Product of the Month webinar. This month, we're going to be talking about the Marameter 844K Bore Gauge Measuring System. I'm George Schutz, your presenter, Director of Precision Gauges out of Providence, Rhode Island. And if you have any questions during the presentation, use the chat feature and I will respond to your question after the webinar by email. So thanks again for attending, and let's begin. Today's agenda is to learn about the Marameter 844K bore gauge system, and we'll find out what it is. We'll talk about some technical data, its accessories, applications, why we might need it, and we'll go into the special promotion being the product of the month. So the Marameter precision hand tool and gauges offered by Mahr, we have a full suite of hand tools, including digital calipers and depth gauges, digital and dial indicators and micrometers. We also have a full range of gauges for measuring IDs and ODs. Plus, we have a line of bore gauges, which are the adjustable, fixed plug, mechanical, and air gauges. These are all modern and feature-packed products, high quality, and they're meant to be used out on the shop floor at the point of manufacture. With our promotional prices, I think our prices are at or lower than some of the major competitors that we have. And I know that we're the leader in low cost and transparent wireless data transfer. This is because we have the lowest cost receiver and our free Mahrcom wireless integration software. Now the Marameter 844K bore gauge measuring system has been around for many years. It's an indicator bore for small precision holes. The Marameter family has been a permanent feature of Mahr's hole measuring system for decades. Mahr has invested in an overhaul of this whole probe family. So now this proven measuring system has been upgraded for the future using new materials, updated processes, and options to ensure maximum performance, linearity, and accuracy. So what we are introducing today and is this month's product of the month is the new Marameter 844K bore gauge system. So it's still an indicating bore gauge for small precision bores. It's a fixed plug system where it's a bore size is determined by sweeping the plug through the bore to get the diameter. At the minimum point is when that actual diameter is measured. Now these gauges are comparative type gauges, so they need a master to set the size to, and the part is compared to the setting from the master. Now the benefit of these types of gauges is that they have a very short measuring range, which gives us a high performance. So we can get a real precision bore measurement out of some very small bores. In fact, I don't know, for some of these bore sizes, there's virtually no other way to measure these small diameters very precisely. And since it's a reversing type of operation, in effect, where you have to sweep through the bore to make the measurement, now we have a Marcator 1087BR, or the BRI version, that has the dynamic function to record the minimum value. So by using a digital indicator, the operator doesn't have to watch for the minimum reading. The 1087 will remember that value, remember the minimum value, and give you the bore diameter. So we have the ability to provide an analog, a dial comparator, or we can provide a digital indicator with dynamic features to record the minimum size. So how does the Marameter 844K system work? Well, the measuring principle is something that we call a split ball type of gauge. So basically, on the end or the measuring part of the bore is a ball which has been basically cut in half, and that's part of a flexure. So you can see the flexure area here. And with inside this bore is a tapered pin. So as the split ball is compressed when it goes into the bore, the tapered pin is pushed out, and the indicating device, whether it be a dial comparator, dial indicator, or digital indicator, monitors the position of that V-rod that's inside, or that tapered cone that's inside the flexure of the bore gauge itself. So this is a one-to-one movement. There's no multiplier or anything that's required. So as the bore size is measured, the V-rod is pushed up, and we can read the diameter directly. So that diameter is a combination of the movement of both sides of the plug itself, and that combined gives us the diameter. So there's a one-to-one value of the length being moved by the diameter reading itself. So this makes it very easy to use. It's a true diameter, no compensations required, and it's easy for the operator to get a straight diameter reading. Now there are three types of the 844 bore gauge system. The first type is the standard radius contact. It's a split ball gauge made of stainless steel. Measuring surfaces are chrome plated, and these are for general bore gauge measurements. The 844KS, the one shown here, is what we call a blind hole measuring system. You can see that the contact area is very close to the bottom of the gauge itself, which allows us to measure near the bottom of the bore. Now this year we're introducing a new innovation, this DLC coating, which stands for Diamondlike coated plugs. So this is a stainless steel plug where the measuring surfaces and inner edges are this diamond-like coated surface. So this offers increased wear protection, very low friction. These are the types of coatings that are on very many of the tool cutters or tool bits that are used for high-speed cutting and so forth. So it gives a much longer life to the tool itself. It's very good for sensitive or abrasive surfaces. It's really going to extend the life and the use of the split ball bore gauge systems. And you can see that it offers a darker color to the bore plug itself as a completely distinctive look with the 844KC systems. So you can see very clearly that these are a coated plug. And we sell these systems in kits where you can buy the 844K as a modular system, where you can buy just the plug itself, or you can buy it in a kit form that gives you a full range of plugs from basically 1 millimeter to 20 millimeters in diameter. For the blind hole plugs, they start at 4 millimeters and they go to 20 millimeters. So you can buy a whole kit with masters covering this range of diameters to be measured. So again, we're talking about a 1 millimeter or basically a 40,000th diameter bore that we can measure with these split ball systems, a very, very small diameter. But you can also purchase the components separately, and we can sell the split ball plugs by themselves, the transfer pins, which are generally made of carbide, the holder, and the display unit, all as separate components, along with either an AGD or a DIN style master setting ring. So it's a very modular system. The indicator, the display, the handle, and then the plug itself. So if you have just a specific size that you need to measure for a bore down to 1 millimeter, we can provide just that plug to measure that size. Now there's another unique benefit of the Diamondlike carbon coating that we're offering here is that, of course, I mentioned that it's a darker color, so it's an extremely hard coating with a very high resistance. It offers extremely low friction coefficient, so it prevents us from scratching the part. It also gives us increased wear for abrasive materials, and it's an excellent corrosion protection for the plug itself. So, in environments or climates that are high humidity, this Diamondlike carbon coating will help prevent rusting if it's used in that type of environment. And a side benefit, well, we're saying that this coating is offering extremely high wear, but when eventually it does wear out, you'll be able to see the hardened steel shininess underneath that coating. So again, this could in the future provide a visual indication of when the plug is beginning to wear. Now there's lots of different applications. You have your standard configuration, is where we have the indicating unit, the handle, and the plug itself. So this is the picture on the right is our standard configuration. But we do have some options. So maybe you need to get into a bore where there's not a lot of depth or clearance to get into the bore. So we have a 90-degree offset or transfer mechanism which will turn the plug 90 degrees to the handle to allow us to get into those types of bores. Or if you're trying to get into a diameter that's deep, we can offer extensions that allow you to get into those small bores that might be deep into a housing or a fixture or something else. So by offering these extensions, we can take that bore into some deep places. Now the new 844 K Bore Gauge system is completely compatible with the previous system. So we have a new dedicated brochure for the 844K. It's replacing the previous version that was seen in our catalogs for the past decades, but everything is interchangeable. The adapters, the holders for the indicators, the plugs themselves are interchangeable with the old extensions or handles and so forth. So everything is interchangeable. So functionally, they're identical to the previous 844K systems. And so all the modular devices, all the handles, the extensions, etc., are interchangeable with the new product. So you don't have to buy anything new if you already have the previous 844K system. These are new ones are all interchangeable with all those components. So when combined with when the 844K is combined with our 1087 BRI, the system offers transparent data collection with our Marcom software. So the 1087 BRI incorporates the dynamics to capture the minimum value during reversal. So as you swing the bore gauge, the split ball bore gauge through the bore, we're going to look for the minimum value, which is the true diameter. The 1087 will capture that, and then using its integrated wireless data transmitter, you can send that data through Marcom into your data collection software. Now, the 844K bore gauge system is, it's generally used to measure bore diameter. But because it's a variable bore gauge, you can make a number of measurements and get more information about the bore itself. So you can see that, with the 844, we have the through bore gauge to measure the bore diameter. We have the split ball for blind holes, so we can get very close to the bottom. So basically, we're measuring the diameters of a number of different bores. But by exploring the bore at different orientations and depths, you can get a lot more information. You can get the diameter in two orientations at 0 and 90 degrees and see if the bore has any out of roundness condition. You can measure the bore at different depths. So now you can look for taper or barrel or hourglass shapes within that bore. Or if you have a bore where you need to get through a smaller diameter to a larger one, you might be able to do that. Of course, depending on the range of the larger diameter, be able to do that with the 844K. So it's more than a bore gauge. It can start to give you some information about the form of the bore that we're trying to measure. It's a pretty powerful tool for such a small plug measuring system. So the 844K is ideal for very small bore applications, starting at 1 millimeter and moving up to that to about 40 millimeters. It has tight tolerances. It can measure tolerances to plus or minus 2 microns, about 80 millionths. Sometimes there's just no other solution for measuring these small bores. It's tough. There's no adjustable bore gauges that can get down to that. You might be able to measure with a vision system, but all that is going to tell you at the top diameter is very hard to do with a measuring microscope. So a sweeping bore gauge might be the only way of doing that. It does require a little bit of skill by the operator to get good results. Well, why is that? Again, because it's a dynamic measurement. The operator has to swing the bore gauge through the bore to look for the minimum diameter. But with a skilled operator, they can get some very good, potentially excellent results on those small bores of, again, measuring through bores or blind bore applications. Now, in order to maybe improve that, to take away some of the operator influence, we do offer a new stand that can be used with the small plug. So if you're measuring some very, very small diameters, the 1 millimeter diameter, for example, that's, again, it takes some operator influence, but you can imagine that there's some, some sensitivity with that small bore, and there's always a chance that if you're not using it right, that 1 millimeter plug gauge is very sensitive. So by having a stand, what we can do is we can mount the plug into the stand, and there's a lifting or lowering level that brings the bore gauge down into the bore to be measured. So what you would do here in this case is put the part underneath the bore and then lower the gauge into the part. And we offer some nice features for that. We also offer basically a floating platen or a floating a device here that allows the plug to float and move into the bore as it's being lowered into position. So we have a nice floating mechanism, and it really helps to protect some of these small plug gauges from being damaged. So we have the ability to float the plug gauge and have your digital indicator showing the user what the diameter is. You have stops on this stand that allow us to set the measuring depth, and you can also put a dial or a digital indicator to show when we're going to the measuring depth. So again, if you're trying to measure in a bore at 2 or 3 depths, you can use a indicator to allow us to do that, or you can put a fixed depth stop to get repeatable exact measuring depths every time. We also have the ability to within this 120 millimeter diameter platen, to have a adjustable V fixture, again to help locate the part underneath the bore for easier alignment of the plug into the part. So this is a very nice stand for giving us a long range travel of moving the plug into the part. Now sometimes you might not even, you might be using this for different applications because it has a stop in it and because it has a long travel. You can also use this type of stand for measuring, say, depths or thicknesses of parts. When you have to you need a lot of range to get over a part to get to a certain depth location. This type of stand might be something to think about for those types of applications. So this is a new stand for us, the 844 KM. It reduces operator influence. It helps to protect the plugs because of their sensitivity for very small diameters. And it's really a great addition to the 844 bore gauge measuring system. Again, I just always have to talk about the ability with our 1087 and the integrated wireless, we have the free Marcom that allows us to get the data from the gauges itself, from the digital indicator to our SPC software, to Excel, basically to any Windows-based software or to any third-party software program looking to collect data. And again, Marcom is an integrated wireless system going through the USB port. It's simple to set up. It allows for the user to select where and how the data will be sent and received. So it's a simple to use interface, does not require a lot of programming knowledge. And this can be either a wireless system with integrated wireless. It can be a hardwired going with our USB. We also have an add-on wireless if needed. And we keep improving the interface protocol, where we offer the ability to send out the serial number and so forth of the caliper or the wireless digital indicators that's being used with the 844K. So some very powerful features of setting part number and serial number of the gauge. So now we can know that when we're measuring that small bore, with the 8044K, we know what indicator it's used, so we can tie all that information together into our data collection system. So we're really tying together all the loose ends of knowing that that's a controlled measurement from our 844K. And I think that's a very important feature with today's data collection system, knowing what gauge made the measurement as part of the SPC software. And we also have the ability to program the 844K with its indicator, setting the tolerances and so forth, so that Marcom can control and collect information from our products. And we can decide when or where to send the serial number, the part number, the date and time as part of that information. We've also updated the Marcom Professional to have a erase last feature, so if the operator does make a measurement mistake, we can erase the last one and begin the measurement cycle over again. So these are all powerful features that are available with the package of the 844K, and the 844K is our September product of the month, and what we're offering are two of the kits that are available, and the 1087 BR digital indicator. All that promotional prices. Whenever you order these kits, you'll get the promotional prices. You can buy the 1087 digital indicator to go along with it. But if you already have your indicator, you can mount that with the existing kit. And of course, if you buy the September special offer, you'll get the Mahr mug to go along with the special promotional pricing. So I think we've seen a lot of nice and important new improvements with the 844K. It's a new kit. We offer the Diamondlike coating. You can measure through or blind holes. And I think it's a great value for some of these very small bore diameters. So we looked at some of the features. We've talked about the accessories for getting into deep bores, right angles, measuring very small diameters. We've talked about the wireless data collection with the 1087 BRI, which has the integrated wireless transmitter. I think its robustness, it makes it a very good choice to be used at the point of manufacture, or it has the precision to be used in a quality control inspection area. And because it's a product of the month, I think it's a very great value and something that should be looked at if you're measuring small bores from 1 to 20 millimeters. So why choose Mahr? Well, Mahr has a very broad product range for industrial metrology. It has the application, we have the application competence to support you. We're open. When you call our number, you're going to get a technician to help you with your application. Our wireless hand tool portfolio with the 1087 in this application is great to help you reach Industry 4.0. The promotional prices and high quality, I think, are achieving the best value for you. So once this webinar is done, we're going to send you a link to the recording of the webinar. We have a PDF of the product data sheet. There is a new brochure available, and that's available for you also. So thank you for your attention. It's been great talking to you and introducing you to the new and revitalized 844K small bore gauging plug system. Thank you again.